lang, gagawin lang halimbawa ng taga-gobyerno natin, tatawagan na, kumusta na po kayo? Pagkatapos yan, complied na, pababayaan na. Dapat may specify talaga, we have to revisit this law kung anong mga tulong pwede maibigay sa mga victims. Kasi sa ngayon, it's very unfortunate, we're here, nakafocus tayo palagi doon sa perpetrators. Paano ma-rehabilitate yung perpetrators? Paano yung mga magulang ng perpetrators mabigyan ng gabay para madisiplina yung bata, etc., etc. But never did we mention ever tungkol dun sa mga victims.
Kasi sabi niya nung yung nakabaril sa anak ko, wala daw crime liability. So paano yan? Isa sa, ano lang yan, sa bahay Pag-asa? Pwede naman siguro. I agree. Yung sinabi ni Tulfo, I agree po. Yung sinabi niya, pwede naman siyang makulong doon sa ibang pasilidad na pwede sa kanilang edad para din nila maramdaman yung sakit, yung parusa na karapat-dapat sa kanila eh. Disiplinahin din sila. Kaya nga yung bata, pag makakasala, di ba? Pag bata yung makakasala, di ba, may disiplinahin, turuan ng maayos, turuan ng tama. Sabihin na, yun, hindi yung tama yung ginagawa mo. Hindi yung tama. Di ba paparusahan yan? Papaluhurin? Papaluon ng senturon, di ba? Eh, yung bata na yan, nakamatay yan eh. Nakamatay yan. Nakamatay yan ang tao. So ano, ibababahay pag-asa lang yun? Ha? So dapat may pasilidad din na karapat dapat sa kanila, maramdaman din nila yung sakit. Yun lang yung sabihin ko. I agree with Dolfo. He said while ago na dapat mayroong pasilidad na karapat dapat sa kanila, hindi lang yung bahay pag-asa na yan. Yun lang. Doon sa paaralan ko, hindi ko talaga alam kung ano pong nangyari sa kanya. Kasi pumunta na lang ako doon mga bandang 10:00 na po ng umaga at hinahanap ko po ang anak ko kung nasaan siya, kung nakalabas ba sa paaralan o nakatakbo pa. May tinatanong pa nga akong mga estudyante doon na na nakilala kay Joyansi, na nasaan na si Joyansi, kung nakita ba niyo siya. Yun lang po. Hindi ko po alam talaga kung ano talaga yung nangyayari. Pero kahapon...
Ano niyo po nabalitaan na may nangyari ng masama?
Mga alas na po ng umaga, pumunta agad
Sige
ako
po.
sa hospital. At hindi ko po alam yung anak ko na pala doon, yung sinasabi nilang dead on the spot na po, hindi na po nadala sa hospital. Anak ko na pala yun. Anak na po, kaya yung dalawang bata yun. Anak ko pa pala yung isang bata na nandoon na patay na po.
So hindi po umabot sa ospital. Opo, hindi na po nasubukang gamutin dahil sa eskwelahan pa lang nabawian na po siya ng buhay.
Opo. Dinala sa hospital kasi kung buhay, yung dinala nila yung pwede pang ma-survive daw.
Ma'am Jeneline, inuulit ko lang po yung taos-pusong pakikiramay po naming lahat dito sa komite, sa inyo at sa buong pamilya ninyo. At yung commitment po namin magdala ng hustisya sa inyong anak at pamilya at proteksyonan yung iba pang mga bata sa mga susunod na panahon. Tanungin ko rin po ma'am si Sir Jamie kung online din po sila mula sa ibang lugar. Sir Jamie, online po ba kayo? Ang papa din po ni Yancy. Or baka nandyan din po, malapit sa inyo, Miss Jeneline. Ayan po, Sir Jamie. Maupay nga aga po kahit napakalungkot na panahon. Kayo po sir, may dagdag po ba kayong nalaman tungkol sa mga pangyayari nung araw na iyon kina Yancy? Sir, hindi po namin kayo marinig. Pakilapit yung mic sa bibig nyo.
Yung bata po, hindi pa ako kapatid. Tapos, yung anak ko, yung panganay kong babae, nagano sa atin pa. Yung tahan, yung pa sa paralan, pati tayo nagbabarailan doon. Yung pagagad ako. Pagdating ko doon, hindi ako pinapasok sa Panayjit. Doon lang ako sa labas, tanong sa mga kaklase niya. Kung nakita pa nila yung kaklase niya, si Julian Sis. Tapos, yung iba, sabi nila, hindi namin nakita. Yung isang classmate niya, sabi niya, nakita niya pinagkakatan ko. Sabi ko, baka nandun sa classmate niya. Hanggang alas 12 na, tumawag ako sa bahay, wala pa din sa bahay. Hanggang tinatahan na ako. Nagpunta ka din ng hospital ng asawa ko, naghiwalay kami. Hanggang alas 2 na kayo makapalig ng salaran. Pagbalik namin, may taga doon sa amin, hindi na sa loob ng gate. Tinawag ako. Sabi niya,
Sir, pakilapit yung mic sa bibig nyo.
sa akin, nagkita ko yung may anak ko. Kaya na yun.
Sir, lubos po kaming nakikiramay sa inyo at sa buong pamilya ninyo. Medyo po mahina yung audio nyo, pero tama po ba yung narinig namin na si Yancy po ay panganay niyong anak, tapos nabalitaan nyo na may barilan sa eskwelahan, kaya pumunta kayo doon. Pero hindi nyo po siya kaagad nakita. Bandang 12 noon nyo na po siya nakita, tama po ba? Nasa ospital na? Hindi na po namin kayo marinig, sir. Baka pwedeng ayusin din yung audio dyan at ilapit talaga yung mic sa bibig nyo.
Hindi na po ma'am nadala sa hospital, ma'am.
So tulad nung sinabi ni Miss Janeline kanina, hindi na rin talaga siya nadala sa ospital. Nandun na lang talaga sa eskwelahan. Sige po, Sir Jamie. Sa pagpapatuloy po nitong hearing, tatanungin naman po namin yung ibang mga pamilya ng mga nasugatan. At sige po. Ma'am Jamie, Ma'am Jamie, sana manatili po kayo dito online sa ating hearing.
Madam
Gusto ko
Chair,
rin
pwede
po,
ba tanong?
Senator, bago po si Senator Raffy, isang follow-up question sa ngayon, Ma'am Jamie. Kumusta po si Yancy bilang isang anak, bilang bata?
Ang bata po, masayahin siya, mabait. Simple lang siya. Simple lang yung pangarap niya, hindi naman po siya, basta
Ano po
masaya
yung-
sa anak ko. Tahimik lang siya, hindi naman siya pala away. Para kaibigan siya doon sa gusto rin niyang kakaibiganin, pero hindi naman siya sa mga hindi niya gustong kaibiganin. Hindi naman yun nang aaway ng mga kaklase niya. Tahimik lang yun. Tahimik lang yun yung anak ko. Hindi yun pala away. Yun lang po.
Po, Miss Janeline, at ngayong nawalan pa kayo ng ganyang napakabait na anak, meron po ba kayong gustong ibigay na mensahe sa ating gobyerno?
Yung gusto ko lang sabihin na kung pwede, pababaan yung edad na pwedeng pwede nang makasuhan. Kasi sabi niya nung yung nakabaril sa anak ko, wala daw crime liability. So paano yan? Isa sa, ano lang yan, sa bahay Pag-asa? Pwede naman siguro. I agree. Yung sinabi ni Tolfo. I agree po. Yung sinabi niya, pwede naman siyang makulong doon sa ibang pasilidad na pwede sa kanilang edad para din nila maramdaman yung sakit, yung parusa na karapat-dapat sa kanila eh. Disiplinahin din sila. Kaya nga yung bata, pag makakasala, di ba? Pag bata yung makakasala, di ba, may disiplinahin, turuan ng maayos, turuan ng tama. Sabihin na, yun, hindi yung tama yung ginagawa mo. Hindi yung tama. Di ba paparusahan yan? Papaluhurin? Papaluon ng senturon, di ba? Eh yung bata na yan, nakamatay yan eh. Nakamatay yan. Nakamatay yan ang tao. So ano? Ibababahay pag-asa lang yun? Ha? So dapat may pasilidad din na karapat dapat sa kanila. Maramdaman din nila yung sakit. Yun lang yung sabihin ko. I agree with Tolfo. He said a while ago na dapat mayroong pasilidad na karapat dapat sa kanila. Hindi lang yung bahay pag-asa na yan. Yun lang.
Po, Ma'am Jeneline, kasabay nung pakikiramay namin, nakikinig talaga kami sa inyo at lahat ng mga sinasabi nyo, pati yung mga suggestion nyo ay matinding pag-aaralan po namin nitong aming Senate Committee on Women at pati ng ibang mga komite dito sa Senado. At meron din pong follow-up question sa inyo nga si Senator Raffy ngayon bago natin tanungin yung mga pamilya nung dalawang batang nasugatan. Senator Raffy.
Ma'am Jeneline, magandang umaga po at bago ang lahat, ang aking pong taus-pusong pagkikiramay. Isang katanungan lamang po, simula po nung mangyaring insidente, meron ho bang lumapit sa inyo mga taga-ahensya ng ating gobyerno para mag-extend po ng ayuda o tulong? Meron po ba, ma'am?
Po,
Financial man o kung ano pa man yun? Meron po?
mayroon po. Maraming tulong po from government, from private sector. Marami po, marami.
Private sector po. Ang tanong ko po, mula sa public, sa gobyerno po, meron ho bang taga-gobyerno? Kasi po, sa ilalim ng RA 9344, Juvenile Justice Welfare Act, meron po doon as amended na dapat meron ding ayudang matatanggap ang mga victims na kagagawan nito mga CICL, pamilya man at mismong biktima. Yun po ang ibig sabihin, wala ho bang pera, ayuda na ipinarating sa iyo ng ating gobyerno?
Po.
Bukod sa private, sabi niyo po mga private individuals, pero po yung gobyerno po natin, meron po ba?
Mayroon.
Alinsunod po dun sa RA 9344 na kung saan dapat yung victims of crime ng mga CICL dapat merong matatanggap na ayuda.
Opo.
Meron po ba? Saan galing po? Ano pong ayuda na tanggap nyo? Meron na po ba? Yung
Lahat,
halimbawa po, pagpapalibing, yung sa burol.
opo, puro at saka sa libingan po.
Sino po nag-provide po noon, ma'am? Kanino, saan galing po yung binigay sa inyo para sa burol at pampapalibing? Private individual ho ba yun o mula sa ating gobyerno, ma'am?
Galing po kay yung ano po namin, yung sa libingan po namin, galing po kay FM Romualdez po, kay Marty Romualdez po, yung yung libingan at saka yung yung funeral, lahat na po galing po sa from the SWD and Tingog po.
Okay, so ibig sabihin party list po ang nagbigay sa inyo, politiko. Kasi alam mo, Madam Chair, base po sa RA 100620 as amended mula sa 9544. Nakasaad doon, the victim of the offense committed by a child and the victim's family shall be provided the appropriate assistance. Dito nga lang, hindi na-specify kung anong klaseng assistance hanggang saan. Kasi sa ngayon, ang nangyari, compliance lang, gagawin lang halimbawa ng taga-gobyerno natin, tatawagan na, kumusta na po kayo? Pagkatapos yan, complied na, pababayaan na. Dapat may specify talaga, we have to revisit this law, kung anong mga tulong pwede maibigay sa mga victims. Kasi sa ngayon, it's very unfortunate, we're here, nakafocus tayo palagi doon sa perpetrators. Paano ma-rehabilitate yung perpetrators, paano yung mga magulang ng perpetrators mabigyan ng gabay para madisiplina yung bata, etc., etc. But never did we mention ever tungkol dun sa mga victims.
Senator Raffy, siguro pwede nating tanungin ngayon yung specifics sa DSWD kay Secretary
Yes.
Rex Gatchalian. Ano po yung ibibigay na tulong dun sa mga namatayang pamilya at yung mga pamilya ng mga nasugatan?
Yung mismong
Secretary
biktima at
Yes,
saka sa mga
Gatchalian.
Madam Chair, Mr. Senator, I agree na victims first. Actually, that the day after the shooting, I personally went, na-meet ko si Ma'am Jamie, nagpunta ho ako sa lamay nila, together with yung tatlo pa hong namatayan, pati na rin ho yung pamilya nung dalawa na nasa hospital pa, and everybody else. Personal ho, na nagdala ho ako ng assistance to individuals in crisis situation natin, o in AICS ho natin. Ang that time, ang sabi ho namin sa kanila, kasi right after the shooting incident, nag-assign ho tayo ng 2 social worker per namatayan na pamilya, up to now, nandun pa ho sila. Ang bilin ho namin, to make sure na lahat ho ng pangangailangan, not just the monetary, kundi yung psychosocial na intervention ho ay nangyayari. And I personally went there, nagdala ho tayo ng AICS, and at the same time, that time ho kasi hindi pa ho kompleto yung amount na kailangan. Ang bilin ho namin sa social worker natin is to make sure na lahat ng kailangan nila sa burial, pati na rin ho yung kakailanganin sa medical ng mga nasa hospital, sasagutin na ho ng DSWD. I personally went there, brought some, and also made sure na magagawa po yun.
Paano po yung mga damages?
Madam Chair, I believe that meron ho yung after, diba may civil portion ho kasi to, the criminal side may not have been, halimbawa dun sa 14-year-old, wala siyang criminal liability, pero yung civil side ho niya, nandun pa rin ho yun. So we will have to go through the court proceeding to determine kung ano ho yung mga damages para ho mabayaran hindi ho ng gobyerno but nung yung magulang nung gumawa.
Tanungin ko po si Dr. Narag. So sir, given itong alarming phenomenon ng NVEs dito sa Pilipinas, ano po yung thoughts nyo tungkol sa criminal justice system, particularly as it relates to mga minors? So yung juvenile justice system sa konteksto nitong NVEs.
Alright. Magandang hapon po. Excuse me. Magandang hapon po sa lahat. Ako po si Raymond Narag. Ako po ay based sa United States. I've been there since 2005, so 21 years. And since 2005, we have witnessed 1,400 school shootings. And bilang ko lang dito ngayon, noong 2007 sa Virginia Tech, patay, 2018 Parkland 17 ang patay, noong 2022 Robb, Texas 21 ang patay, and so many others. And as a father of 3 children, lagi kami nagdarasal tuwing umaga, hatid ko na sa eskwelahan, Lord, protektahan mo itong mga anak ko. Sana po ay di sila maging biktima ng school shootings. And so when this happened, I really shared the agony of the Filipino people. I really shared the concern kasi even in a first world country like the United States, nangyayari po ito. And I'm going to share some of my learnings as a father and actively sa school children yung anak ko. But I'm also the graduate program director of the School of Justice and Public Safety. I'm a registered criminologist in the United States, and I do a lot of studies on delinquency, juvenile violence, and also criminal justice and juvenile justice reforms. So I could share what works and what does not work in the US setting. So, sa US ngayon, if you are going to look at, we have school drills, active shooter drills. Every year, bahagi ng aming training bilang professors, bilang school teachers, what to do when there's an active shooter. Saan ka magdadak, saan mo dadalhin mga estudyante mo. It's very scary because all my daughters are very, very knowledgeable on what to do when an active shooter is there. And makikita mo ito nung kay Kirk, lahat ng matatanda nagtakbuhan, lahat ng mga bata nakataba. Why? Because the generations in America now are really, really socialized in what to do when there's an active shooter. Second is locked doors and security. Pag pumapasok ako sa eskwelahan ng mga anak ko, di ako makapasok na walang ID, walang mechanism na inform mo muna yung mga school administrators. And so the schools are very secured, locked, mayroong mga CCTVs. What I also observed that works is the separate day grounds for age-graded children. So yung mga bata, pag age, for example, 6 to 9, may sarili silang playground, 10 to 12, may sariling playground, and so on and so forth. And it is because alam natin na age-graded, iba yung kanilang dynamics, may bullying nangyayari, may mga furries sa America, alam niyo yung furries, right? They dress up like kittens and they think like kittens and they act like kittens and they bite other kids. And so nangyari yan sa anak ko. He was bitten by a furry, right? And sabi niya, I'm a cat, so just deal with that. I'm a cat. So yun po ang ginagawa. Kinakailangan mayroon pong age-graded recreations. And very active po ang anti-bullying programs sa mga schools. Ang mga anak ko, educated sila sa all ways anti-bullying, how to detect a bully, how to avoid being a bully, how to not repeat bullying. Kasi karamihan po sa mga bullies are themselves bullied before, all right? And they just repeat the cycle. Ang mga anak ko din po ay naging graduates po ng DARE, which is yung Drug Education Reforms Program, how to say no to a negative peer influence. Mayroon po sila mga conflict mediation. So though this is in the drug context and also violence context, it could be also in the online context. Mayroon po kaming early warning signs, ma'am. Pag umaga pa lang at mayroon ng telltale signs, mayroon kang text calls na receive from the university. In fact, tinitignan ko po yung aking cellphone in the past 3 years. Mayroon po kaming around 25 na mga telltale signs ng school violence. And so every day po yan, kina-check ko po ang aking cellphone para sa ganon, automatic lang ma-inform kung mayroon pong telltale signs of school shooting. And even during the day, ginagawa po yan. What is found very helpful is our school resource officers. School resource officers are police officers who are specifically trained to be working in a school environment. Social workers po yung mga ito, they know how to de-escalate, they know how to conflict mediate, especially yung mga bata na nag-away-away sa school bus, sa playgrounds, may teacher conflicts sa students, they are the ones who are very responsible. Wala po tayo nan sa Pilipinas. Iba po ito sa security guard. Ito po ay school resource officers. Of course, additional is yung guidance counselor. Nabanggit na po yan kanina, hindi ko na po ulitin. Mayroon po kaming tinatawag ng mga after-school hours activities. Kasi po sa United States, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. po ang klase. From 3 p.m. onwards, those are unsupervised, unstructured activities. And dyan po nangyayari po lahat ng kabalagbagan kasi walang adult supervision. And so it's very important to have a structured, monitored activities para sa mga bata, right? And I also observe sa Philippines, mga bata ngayon, kapag kumakain sa restaurant, yung nanay at tatay nag-usap, yung bata may cellphone at yun na ang kanyang kumakain. All right, I seldom see that in the United States, but here in the Philippines, it's alarmingly very, very common. Mayroon po din tinatawag na parent-teacher training. Nung pumunta ako sa Amerika, wala akong alam-alam sa online, but every year there's a parent-teacher online training. Doon ko po naririnig yung mga new developments sa technology, right? Kasi mga parents walang alam, but the teachers are actually educated on online threats. So there's a government agency that's in charge with online threat education. Then they train all the teachers, and then the teachers come with a regular parent-teacher training. And doon ako natuto. Kaya yung mga anak ko sa bahay, hanggang 16 years old, wala po silang cellphone. We made it a deal. Pagdating sa bahay, we turned off the internet. Dapat mag-uusap kami. Pag mayroon silang assignment, tsaka lang sila magkakaroon ng internet. Why? Kasi kung hindi, ang laki-laki ng influence po nung nangyayari pong ito. So sa United States, pag mayroon pong violence like this, lima po yung lagi na pag-usapan. Access to firearms.
Dr. Narag, baka in the interest of time din po, pwede nyo pong i-enumerate yung 5, pero please do submit yung kompletong pagtatalakay nun sa komite.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Salamat po, please.
All right. Just twice, yung access to firearms, mental health, violent extremism through online, yung adverse childhood experiences, at saka yung pong hate crimes. So dito napakahalaga na ipasok din natin yung training sa mga bata on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right? Kasi maraming mga bata ang halimbawa Bisaya versus Waray, right? Maaring may dynamics yan at nabubuli yung mga Waray na mga Bisaya na mga Waray, and so on and so forth. So hindi po ako expert gaano sa violence extremism through online. Ngayon ko naririnig po lahat yan. And I'm really very thankful sa mga narinig ko po ngayon. Pero in the bigger scheme of things, what does not work are, unfortunately, nandito po lang po si Senator Tulfo, and with due respect to him, juvenile detention centers that are very harsh does not work. Boot camps does not work. Scared straight does not work. Maximum security for juveniles does not work. It has a brutalization effect. It makes them hard. It's not a deterrence because they don't understand it, and they make it worse for everyone. And especially the juvenile who are being groomed, who are being manipulated, are themselves victims who are carrying out these very horrible acts. And so if you punish them with lifetime or whatever time of imprisonment, it doesn't really solve the problem. It barks on the wrong tree. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Narag. May ibang halaga din yung perspective nyo bilang Pilipino kayo at the same time nagtuturo at nagpa-practice sa US. So, salamat po para dun sa mga best practices o mga modelo doon na pwedeng pag-aralan dito sa ating bayan. Gusto ko namang matanong kahit mga dalawang tanong yung Philippine Psychiatric Association, Psychological Association of the Philippines, saka yung PGH Child Protection Unit. Sino po yung, well, sige, yung tanong po ay ito at kung sino po yung pinakagustong magtumugon dito. Base po sa inyong karanasan at kaalaman, bukod sa mga nabanggit na, ano po yung risk factors sa mga kabataan o bata pagdating sa vulnerabilities sa NVE? Sino pong... Yes, ma'am. Dr.
Yes, Senator.
John.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yes, we already submitted our position paper from the Philippine Psychiatric Association last week, Senator. But just to answer your question, we always, human behavior is very complex and dynamic. So we always follow the bio-psychosocial spiritual approach in the understanding of root causes that we mentioned were already mentioned by Dr. Alampay earlier, but we would like to really just highlight bullying, isolation, untreated mental health conditions, access to lethal weapons like firearms, and extremist exposure. And we would also like to highlight that, of course, the home environment and parenting are very crucial because this is where the child first learns appropriate behavior, values education, good manners, right conduct. So we highlight the importance of parenting as well as aside from the aforementioned the risk factors. And we would just like also to highlight, Senator, that safety is always the priority, be it online or offline. And this applies not just to the children and adolescents, but to the people around them. So, which means that for us, we wrote here that, if I may share, Senator, Filipino children
Yes,
face
please, briefly, but please
Yes.
proceed.
Yes, the Filipino children face real risks, from grooming and exploitation online to preventable violence in school. So we highlight here that it's preventable, and we focus more on protection, keeping our environments safe, both online and offline. Protecting the children and adolescents requires a systems approach, again following the biopsychosocial spiritual paradigm. So first, platforms are held to enforceable standards. We wrote here that it should not just be a tick tick tick. There should be standards set and restricted to depends on the age of the child or adolescent. Parents and communities should be accountable for guidance and vigilance of their kids, of their children. Schools should also be equipped to be safe and trauma informed. Mental health services should be accessible at every stage of development. And that's why we always partner with the Psychological Association of the Philippines and the Guidance Counselors Group. And legislation must be anchored in evidence. We should always follow evidence-based research in how we frame our laws, and not just the impulse to punish. So we move from being punitive to, in fact, more proactive and health promotive and prevention. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you very much din po, Dr. John May. Isa pang tanong po, kung gustong sagutin ng PAP or ng PGH, CPU, ano po yung mga warning signs na dapat tutukan ng mga magulang, no, sa ating mga anak or sa mga may apo, sa ating mga apo?
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I'm Dr.
Yes,
Bernadette
Dr.
Madrid.
Bernadette.
Yes, both from the PGH Child Protection Unit and the Child Protection Network. And I'm here with Dr. Nori Balderrama. First, thank you for having this investigation, and I'm sure everyone learned from here. Just let me first mention that I think everyone has realized that the problem here is not about the minimum age of criminal responsibility. I think everyone has been waiting and waiting to say that the age of minimum criminal age of responsibility, we all fully endorse that it remains at 15 and not be reduced further. The shooters here, yes, they should be punished, but they're also victims. And I think Dr. Narag already enumerated what does not work. Okay, but for going to the signs and symptoms, what should we be aware? Because it's very important. In fact, one of the highest risk factors for NVE is that the child has suffered previous trauma. And our latest research in a high school in Manila showed that 60% of the children have suffered trauma. That's very high. And half of them are suicidal. Again, very high. So the issue of having access to mental health care. Now, all teachers or everyone working in the school should be trained on trauma-informed care. So first, they have to recognize what are the signs of trauma, because that is the first step. You know, that is what made these children susceptible to these NVE groups. And so, very easy. All those who were interviewed previously, they said there was a change in these children. They were saying initially, nag-iba siya. Noon, masayahin naman siya. Pero ngayon parang hindi na. Ngayon parang nag-iisa na lang siya, no? So a change in behavior, a child who is isolated, even the child's grades going down, we should be concerned. In fact, I think that these children were all, even their friends already knew that something was not right. And if they're always just looking at their cell phones, wala nang ibang ginagawa, and they're isolating themselves in their room, again, talagang mapapansin that this child is not the same. Even without training, mapapansin. But the thing is, mas maganda kung may training. Kasi pag walang training, sabihin baka naman, hindi ko naman alam kung ano yan, no? And they will not do anything. But most important is not only recognizing. Second is do something about it. So, again, there should be someone in the school who should be able to handle this. So, sinabi, walang kulang yung mga guidance counselors. Matagal na problema yan ng DepEd. What they have is these teachers, these guidance appointed teachers. Pero these guidance appointed teachers are great. Ang problema, wala silang panahon. Kasi may full teaching load naman sila. Kung babawasan sila ng full teaching load nila, yung sweldo nila hindi naman sapat. So, yes, go with the guidance teachers, but make that their full responsibility equivalent to a full teaching load. So may mga solution. It's and for me, it's really important. Because, as you said, you need also someone to be dealing with the bullying problem. And we are the highest in the world in the bullying problem. PISA says 65%. Kaya nga, yung aming trauma study, 65% din, para parehas lang sila. So there's a root cause right there that needs to be faced kaagad, even without any law. Even without any new budget, pwedeng na kaagad magawa. No? So that's why kailan ma-reactivate yung School Child Protection Committee. Matagal na nabatas yun at matrain sila. Again, we have the laws. No? And so I know you will stop me na. Important.
Based on the time you're reading my mind.
Yeah. One more is that we have this law pending bill on the Online Safety Act, and we really endorse the age na below 16 walang access. Kung 13, di status quo lang yan. Right now 13 So below 16 sa Online Safety Act. Telecoms have also their responsibility. Hindi na pwedeng self-regulation. Alam na ng buong mundo, self-regulation by telecom does not work. So, kailangan may batas for regulation. Okay, so that is our recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Salamat din po, Dr. Bernadette.